Do I really mean it when I say this mod breaks Deity? Well, yeah, I think it does so in a really subtle way, which we're going to get into. First of all, I want to apologize to any viewers who do not have access to mods for Civ 7. I hope, though, that there might be some insights here about how to balance food, production, happiness, and specialists in the game. So, for those of you who have been playing from the beginning back in February, you might remember how annoyingly frequent the disasters were. With all the damage to the buildings and units, they could really cost you a serious bank over time. Sure, just as in Civ 6, they brought some minor improvements to food and production, but while that could offset the costs, it didn't offset the annoyance factor. So the devs tweaked the odds, and now disasters are less common. But what if bad weather and disasters as a whole were the engine driving the growth of your settlements? What if your leader wanted to summon more and more catastrophes to build your empire? What if you could ride to victory on a storm cloud? What if lightning illuminated every single victory path? Let's cut through things right away and reveal the mystery mod, Zhuge Liang. This is from Wikipedia. He was a statesman, strategist, and inventor who lived from 181 to 234 AD during the end of the Han Dynasty and the beginning of the Three Kingdoms. He was a strategist and scholar who earned the nickname Sleeping Dragon. And maybe we'll see why by the end of this video. This is also the Civ 7 mod who, along with the Hittites, won my all-mod battle royale. The link for the video is in the description if you're interested, down below. And also down below is the link to the mod's creator, Airvy. I decided to check Liang out after that win, just to see what might have given him an edge. After using him for a little while, I realized his enormous power in the game. What Airvy has done is very creative. Liang attracts storms every 3 population points. Meanwhile, he has a vision at the start of every game that pinpoints all the floodplains on the map. This means that you can beeline settlers to floodplains and cash in on even more regular disasters. Let's take a look at this process in action. So let's start here with a new game. This is our guy, Zhuge Liang. This is Airvy's rendering of him. Pretty impressive, actually, an imposing figure. Now, we're going to go with his mods, which we'll go through here quickly. One is the Kongming Lantern. At the start of the game, all floodplain tiles are revealed. Your units gain +6 combat strength when attacking enemy targets located on floodplains or adjacent tiles, and +6 defense when located on floodplains or adjacent tiles. So you get advantages attacking floodplains and defending them. So floodplains are going to be your natural territory because, of course, they flood. And that, as it turns out, is actually good for you. So we'll pick those. Then we'll move on to the next one, which I recently used with a game with Ibn Battuta, the All Domination series, which you can take a look at. I'll provide a link in the description down below. Wooden Ox. Don't know how I would have survived at all without this one. Each population provides +2 food and +1 production for your settlement. So you're not only gaining population through the results of storms and disasters, but through this memento as well. And then the third one, just as important, Mantu. It renders your units, improvements, buildings, and city districts immune to the effects of floods and storms. What good are all the floods and storms if they're only going to damage you and cost you money? So we're going to confirm this. We're going to start up in Antiquity. Go back to the beginning. Does it matter who we take? We'll go with the Mississippians because they're, pretty good for food, which will be important. But you could pick anybody, really. He comes with enough advantages that it doesn't quite matter who you take. And then we'll go to Deity. This stuff doesn't matter so much. I don't know. Do we want to make it big? Sure. We'll go to the advanced options. Just in case we carry this on a little bit, we'll bypass the civilization unlocks. And I think that's all we need to do. We'll launch.
A new vision of the world arises from the mounds of Kaokir. The children of Redhorn and the Earthmaker shape the land as they see fit, building mountains out of plains and cities out of the wilderness. As the burning arrow brings light to the darkness, the Mississippians bring new life to the world.
Well, Tundra. For anybody else, this would be, maybe except for Catherine, this would not be an ideal start. But here we go.
The Radiance.
Now, the first thing we want to do as we start out with this guy is build up his food. You want to feed his settlements. That's very important. Production is important for everybody else. I get that, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be important in your game. But I think the best way to play this guy is to go for the food strategy. Because you want to get those population numbers up. We're almost at, there we go. Look, we have food, 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 food. Oh, no production. Oh, there's a production. Look at all that just got added into the mix here with one blizzard. Oh, and it's a blizzard. Your disasters depend on the territory you settle in. So we're in tundra, we get blizzards. So there you go. Why don't we pick this up again? Let's see, first of all, what our... Yeah, it doesn't matter here. We're not worried about this right now. Let's see. Yeah, we'll give ourselves some extra strength. You can already see some of it. Look at this. Some of this territory is a little more beefed up than it was when we started out. I'm going to keep angling for more food as we go on. And for the time being, although this is tempting. Jade, no, it's not that tempting. So we'll go with the food, and we'll pick it up again when we get our second settlement. Now, before you get your second settlement, in all likelihood, you're going to have to choose a government. And when you choose the government, there are lots of great choices now. I love how they've expanded the options. And it doesn't matter because you're only going to pick this one. Again, more food. Maybe I'm just hungry. I don't know. But your guy, Zhuge Liang, needs food, or his city does. The more you grow and produce. So that's really important. So we're going to go with the oligarchy, which gives us plus 20% food for 10 turns, and you get plus 30% production towards I never use this part. I only use this part, but that's all up to you. But we're going to confirm that, and then we're going to get our first opportunity to have a policy and take a wild guess which one of these policies I want to go with. Oh yeah, more food and some gold. Never hurts. Okay, back to our settling. You can see the production, more production. So oh, look at this. Look at all that production in our capital. That's pretty impressive. We'll see in a bit what that translates into. You gotta love the size of those yield signs now. Well, we don't have anywhere ideal here because we can't go that far. So we really only have two options. I mean, we could build right next to this puppy. Yeah, but right on top of it like that, I don't know. Even with all those yields, it's not really producing anything. There's nowhere to get production. I think, yeah, the auto suggest is probably as good as anything I'm going to get. So we'll see if we can make this work. You can see here our yields are becoming a little ridiculous. And despite all that production, I still want to go for the food. But you can see more food here than there was. I could go for the wool. Lots more production. I still want to keep growing. Especially since I haven't met anybody yet. I have the time that I can afford to just grow. So let's go with that. We'll build another settler, I guess. Nowhere to send them right now. Well, I could get a lot of production from this spot here. I really could. I do want to grow. I actually want to reach either here or here. The salt's not a terrible idea. Let's go in that direction. Get more production and more food. Let's do that. Let's get this guy up to 3, and which is going to happen soon. And here's our first blizzard. 1 food, 1 food, 1 food, 1 production, 3 food, 1 production. All in the area of the settlement. They're not necessarily going to be bonuses that are available in the immediate area that you have available. You might have to develop your way out to them. Or, let's see, oh, that's this guy. Okay, that's our second city. Production, food. Well, it's a pretty thin blizzard, I guess. But still some bonuses and no damage. That's the important part, obviously. Well, it looks like a little something there. Okay, Cahokia still growing. These guys, the newbies. In the early days of this game, there has been a back and forth debate about whether food or production is more important. Overall, the tendency has been to give the nod to production, even after food was buffed a few months after the game's release. So, Pachacudi or Tecumseh or Confucius might want to still be more food-focused, but most leaders can safely focus on production overall. Still, why should we have to choose? Zhuge Liang gives us a world where we get accelerating food and production additions. Just look at some of the fat yield possibilities and his other mementos. So here we are late in Antiquity in a different game, by the way, a different saved game. I just want to show you a couple things here. So if you look up here, you see all the other leaders. Now, you can look, of course, at the gold, the science, the culture, all of that. Some of the leaders are very competitive, even doing a lot better. If you look at Friedrich there, he's doing much better in terms of science and culture. than Zhuge Liang is. But then I want you to look at the very bottom here. Of course, Zhuge Liang has more cities than anybody else right now. He's at 10. He's 3 over his maximum. He has to keep a, well, I'll get to the happiness bit in a few minutes here. But if you look all the way down, there are some mods I use to keep track of population. That's this one here. After your military strength, which is another mod. Keep track of that here. And then population here. And then production here. Now, I'll just hold this here so you can look across and see, are there any population numbers or production numbers that come even close to matching what Zhuge Liang has? I'll answer that for you. No, there are not. By this point in the game, he is far outpacing any other leaders in terms of the size of the population of his settlements and his overall production. And that is the, well, if you like, the very, very slow magic of what he is able to do over time between his own powers and those of his mementos. So that just gives you some small idea. And if we look at yields in various parts of the city, I have another mod that gives you the total yields, and you can see that just underneath the icons for the various types of yields. The total yields here, 37.5. Well, that's the Hanging Gardens. I won't give us much. 17, not bad. Yeah, we have more big items here. Nothing much there. Okay, maybe this doesn't have, well, 9. Yeah, this one isn't too big. 19. 14. Yeah, I think I'll have to find another city where you really see it. Let's see what we have here. Now keep in mind, this is in Antiquity, right? These are yields you would expect to see once you started into the exploration age. 20, just casual 20, 17.5, 19. You're only like 2 or 3 specialists away from, 19 here. Let's see what the waterfront's looking like. Not too bad there. Okay, not too extravagant. But you see what I mean, though, that the yields are more than what you would expect for Antiquity. Like even right here, 19, just right there. And so we've got like at least 3 areas, and this isn't even the capital, 3 areas in this city that when we turn into the exploration age can be pretty quickly developed to help you towards your science victory. So that's one big advantage of Zhuge Liang that does not come advertised with the package. That exploration age science victory is pretty easy to come by. What we see here is that population juices production. So it's a good idea to focus on food early on. The production will come along quite naturally from that. Now, Liang's power is a passive one, but it is mighty in the long haul. And it is great for players who like their cozy gameplay and can churn out buildings quickly. But it is also good for more aggressive players who can take advantage of rapid unit production and attack their neighbors with impunity. While they might get ahead of you in terms of culture and science, other players, in the early going, they will not top your production numbers, nor are they likely to outpopulate you. Now, in case you're not familiar with some of the cities that are in this particular civilization, we're back at turn 178 in the late Antiquity age. That's because this is the mod I used, well, he used, in the all mod battle royale that you can find a link to down in the description. And this is the Hittites and their capital, Hattusa. And there are other various cities spread out around here, Haran, for example. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys. I decided to use them as I was demonstrating some of Liang's powers. A good solid civ, actually. Great mod. I enjoy it. Now, this is one of the newer cities that he's added. If we go to the capital, you can see all that we can really add right now are walls. We have kind of built everything. Let's go back to Haran. I can't remember what I could build there. Was it just units? Yeah, just walls. Or the cultural festival or the research initiative. Units are all you can build at this point in the game. The cities produce things so quickly that eventually all that's left is walls. Now, I could go through all the cities just to prove a point. I won't do that, but you can see what I mean. Oh, well, no, he's building a merchant. So, yeah, lots of wall building if you want it. There simply is nothing else to build. Now, that leads to another problem, of course, which is happiness. You have to make sure you have built all your happiness buildings, and in this case, I have, so that if you do have places that you can build, you can add on to and change from farming to urban and whatever, you want to use the ones first that produce happiness to add to your stockpile. Zhuge Liang can really get killed by that unhappiness problem at the end of Antiquity if you have your disasters turned on. Well, not disasters, but late era turning points. If you leave those turned on and you get the unhappiness disaster, that can really screw with the city count. So you have to make sure you have as much happiness as possible and all the happiness generating buildings built and all the happiness generating land added to the city to keep those happiness numbers up. Now, that continues on into the exploration age, where you will be adding specialists. And as you add the specialists, of course, you'll be losing happiness in each city, depending on whatever modifications you have that allow you to lose less or more happiness. So you have to watch that too. So that is the tricky part of playing Zhuge Liang. You knew there had to be a catch, and happiness is the biggest catch. You run out of stuff to build is one thing, but that means you can just churn out units and attack everybody. So that's kind of handy in a way. But when you get the specialists, you start to run into an unhappiness problem, and you have to build all your happiness generating buildings and get whatever wonders you can that create happiness, and do whatever you can in that regard to slow down that process, because you will need to build specialists, especially if you're going for that science victory, which Liang, ironically, makes much easier. So that's the trade-off, and you have to decide if that's something that you think is fun and worth doing, which I do, or not. And so you can give it a try. Just, be warned is all. And yes, you're going to have to eventually turn most, if not all, settlements into cities so that you can construct happiness buildings. Ultimately, I think Zhuge Liang is an easy-to-use leader who comes with bonuses that provide training wheels for any deity-level game. And training wheels are something I really need. So, give them a try. See how far you can go with them. And tell me what you think in the comments. Otherwise, if you like this video, then hit that like or subscribe, and both. And this is Civilized Raccoon. I'll see you next time.